Welcome to the Business of Pleasure podcast. I'm your host, Cash, a sexologist bestie, and today we are getting deep into the tatas. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and you know we were going to do that over here on this platform. But of course, in order to have this conversation, I had to invite a very special someone to sit on the couch with me today and talk about it, and that is actually my childhood bestie. I call her my other half, but she is also way more than that, and I can't wait for you guys to get an opportunity to get to know more about her. So I want to introduce you all to Jamela Mack, who is also the owner of Jhems By Jayda. Say hey, Lay.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Honestly, guys, I know a lot of times this is a conversation that I think comes up a lot, and I really wanted to be intentional in this conversation today. So, I mean, obviously, Lay is a friend of mine, but that's not the reason that I asked her to come here. I think she has a very interesting journey and relationship to this subject that a lot of people need to hear about, because there's so many things that people don't learn about breast cancer until they're usually much older or closer to the age of 40, when insurance companies will start paying for things. We really need to work on that as a nation. But anyway, people don't really take the conversation about breast cancer seriously until they're at the point where, you know, their doctors are referring them to get mammograms. But for you, that relationship started like completely differently. So before we go deep into that, right, because I want people to get a feel for you and just telling them about you. I know you started your business before all of that, and then it became a whole nother meaning after. So can you tell them a little bit about the business that you started?
So I'm the owner of Jhems By Jayda, and it started as a hobby actually long before it became a brand, because my daughter was allergic to everything as a child. So I started making her skincare products to moisturize her skin in a natural state. And then once I got sick, it changed the trajectory of everything. I realized that most of the things we grew up using for our bodies and our hair was full of chemicals that we knew nothing about. So I formulated some natural products to jumpstart and be the catalyst for regrowing my hair after losing it to cancer, and just to help other women
in that area. I want to kind of stay there for a minute. First of all, this girl, her hair. Okay, my entire life of knowing her, which is basically since the sandbox, right? You've always been known like for having beautiful long hair, and you always took care of it well since young. You, your sister, all of you guys have really beautiful hair. And I think as Black women, that's a conversation in its own, because it's not something that I feel like growing up we saw a lot of. And I remember being young and like ignorant guys like asking, is it real? Can I touch it? Searching your head for tracks, all kind of stuff like that. So I gotta imagine that when you got to the point in your treatment, that was a big like emotional process. And I know people don't look at hair all the time as cultural, right? Or, you know, identity. Right. But can you talk about what that felt like for you? And I guess the other part of it is also talk about once it got to a point where you realize my hair is going, right? How did you adjust? How did you embrace it? You know, all of that.
So you're right. Growing up, you didn't see, especially a lot of dark-skinned girls with nice hair, or as they would term it back then, good hair. So my hair was everything to me. I cherished my hair. It was pretty much like I didn't go outside without it being done. But so when I was diagnosed, one of the most important things for me was finding out if I was going to lose my hair. And they were like, yeah. And the room went blank. I heard nothing. I saw nothing. I didn't know what more to say at that point, because for me, it was going to strip away who I was. Yeah. And I was really scared about that. So they had like cooling caps or something that could potentially save my hair, but it was only like 30% effective. So it wasn't worth it. So it was just something that I had to accept, and I had to kind of shift my focus and learn that my hair wasn't everything. And I had my first treatment, and within 2 weeks it was going. And it's funny because I chopped my ponytail off at first, and it was really drastic, but we made it into something comical, and
you had a whole crisis.
It was crazy. But within 2 weeks of my first treatment, it was gone. And so I had to transition into wearing wigs, which wasn't my thing. It was complete foreign to me. And for me, the hardest thing was, how do I break this to my daughter? My daughter was 4 at the time, and I waited until I felt confident enough to express to her that my hair was gone. But she had the most beautiful reaction to it. I remember pulling my wig off, and she stopped and she pulled and she said, "Mommy, you're beautiful." Aww. And from that moment, I realized I had nothing to be afraid of, so I just embraced it.
I'm gonna have to drop a picture in line of Lay when she was sporting her first cut. I'm gonna be honest. It was a big moment even for me. Okay, not just because I'm aware of like your relationship with your hair and all that kind of stuff, but I think just as Black girls, our identity and that being a source of something we get picked on for and all that kind of stuff. So like the thought of like going bald or whatever the case is, or not having it, being so deeply rooted and attached to beauty for us is like a thing. And you know, I done big chopped a couple times. Just like saying to myself one day, I got to start over, and not staying committed to the process in the way that I should have over time. And now I'm at a different phase of that, in a different relationship with hair. So I can completely understand like how soaking that in. And the funny thing that you say Jada is the one who brought you out of it, because I had a similar experience with my son, Kaden, who, I mean, my hair could be on top of my head looking like, I don't know what, it could look like a top of a freaking pineapple or whatever, and he'd be like, "Oh ma, I like your hair," and I'm like, what are you looking at? So it's so funny because I think I'm happy that we're able to not have them have those attachments to beauty like we might have had. One of the things though I did want to ask you though is kind of what prompted a check for breast cancer in the first place, because you were in your 20s when this happened, and most of the time that conversation is not something that our doctors or anything is having with us, or people don't even necessarily always know even the proper ways to check yourself. So what warranted the concern, and then what did the process look like leading up to the day that you were informed?
I like to think of myself as one of the lucky ones, because my mass was visible. Prior to that, I probably never performed my own breast exam. It just was foreign to me. It was like, that's not relevant to me. I was completely naive to it. So I happened to find a mass like slightly under my collarbone. And that's what prompted me to go to the doctor. And it's funny because it's not even funny, but initially they almost brushed me off.
Really?
They were like, "Oh, it just feels like it might be a cyst." And so I think 2 different doctors might have said that, or 2 of my different.
Before even checking, like they didn't just check, they looked at it.
So that was like their first reaction was, it'll probably be a cyst, but we'll send you for an ultrasound. So if I remember correctly, I went for an ultrasound, and then the ultrasound turned to biopsy. And I ended up with 3 masses, 2 were cancerous. And I wouldn't have known if I didn't find the one sitting under my collarbone. It was about the size of a marble.
Because the one, that was the visible one, but you had 2 that wasn't visible.
Yes.
Wow.
And so there was another one behind my areola that ultimately would have killed me. I was 28. I wouldn't have been due for any kind of mammogram or any of that. So it just ultimately would have just grown and ultimately killed me, because they don't promote mammograms until you're 40.
Right. I don't think insurance companies even pay for it until you are at that point. And that's a huge part of early detection, that who has it to go and get a mammogram. So it's so important that people get in touch with and, you know, have resources in their community that do them, because there are places that will do them for free. But again, I'm going to be totally honest, right? Until you experience what you did, I never felt the need to check, right? So I was like talking to my doctor the next time, and I was like, "Can you check my breast?" She was like, "Oh, you don't have to." And I was like, "Yeah, no, but I want to." And it's that awareness piece of it, because until you see it happen to someone else, it doesn't become a reality for you. And then that is what made me like start researching it and learning like, oh, you know, it could, I never knew breast cancer was something men could get. Like it was so many things. So I gotta imagine that, first of all, I'm grateful that you did have a visible something to be able to detect the thing, because I don't know how I would have dealt with the latter. I would just been out here looking crazy. Okay. But what I do remember is wanting to choke you when you first told me, because it was a little bit later. And then you started telling me about when you found out. And first of all, I would have never knew that you were dealing with it, because you were sharing about the success that you were having in grad school, and that you were literally at the end of grad school graduating. I'm like, oh, my friends is educated and da 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 da. And then we had a conversation after another child, like another neighborhood friend passed. And that's when you told me that day. And I was like, and then I found out when you found out. So can you talk a little bit about that time, like in your life, and what was going on with you when you did find out?
Yes. So at the time that I was diagnosed, it was a very tumultuous time in my life. And when I look back, I look at the 6 months that was leading up to that, and there was so much going on. I was moving, I was in grad school, I was interning, I was working full time, I was parenting, I was going through relationship drama. So it was really, really hectic. As a matter of fact, I found the mass before I actually went. Like, it took me a while to finally go to the doctor, because I was just like, I don't have any time for this right now. And again, being naive, I didn't think anything of it. So I am grateful that I eventually went. The day I got diagnosed was actually my last day of grad school. I was in the classroom delivering my final presentation, and I kept getting a automated call from my doctor's office, and they kept calling. And I thought it was a glitch in their system. So again, I focused on what I was doing. Yeah. I thought it was a glitch in their system. So I just disregarded it, and I focused on what was at hand, which was finishing up that master's degree. Right. And so by the time I finally reached my doctor, she's like, I need you to come in. And I was like, but I have an appointment with you on Thursday. Can't this wait? She's like, no, I really need you to come in. So now I'm getting there, and I'm like,
shit, that was the last thing they needed to say something.
I was like,
she's the most nervous, frantic person.
Y'all better be telling me something serious, because what's going on? Y'all blowing up my phone. Y'all got your system is all messed up. And now I'm thinking something is wrong. And she was like, it is. And I remember the room freezing. Like, I really can't really recall it. But I know from there, I was just like, I'm not going to let this steal my joy right now. I was on my way to pick up my cap and gown. And so I walked my graduation with patches on from biopsies. But I got over that. You know, it was more important for me to celebrate my success. My daughter crossed the stage with me. And then I transitioned into
getting yourself ready
challenge.
For it. There's so much, because when it comes to breast cancer and its treatment and detection, and obviously catching it early is the most ideal, and people don't realize that one single thing could be the difference between life and death. The other thing that I don't think people realize is, okay, first of all, there's a mental preparation, there's an emotional process, there's a physical process, and then there's post, right? So there's so much in it. And so obviously we are fortunate to be here today having this conversation, because we get to celebrate the fact that you kicked cancer's ass. Okay. So I'm really, 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 I can't even begin to express to you what that looked like. But also, after finally finishing chemo and celebrating that, you were at the point where you were starting to regrow your hair, right? And there's a process and a regrowth phase. So now it comes into you having this product. And I remember first getting it and using it myself, and I was like, yeah, I'm about to grow this hair back too. Like, I gave into the creamy crack. I used the relaxer so quick, and I was so disappointed in myself. But truthfully, watching you stayed through the process is what inspired me to start it again. So with your hair regrowth, right, and the products that you create, can you talk about your products and what, I know that you have more than one, but can you talk about the product that you were using on your hair, or products that you were using on your hair? Because look at her. Like, go ahead, just do that. Because period. That's all her, okay? So obviously you were able to grow back. If anything, like, honestly, I think it's healthier than before. So can you speak about your product a little bit?
Yeah, so I designed what I call the Flourish oil. And the Flourish oil is designed to stimulate growth, to stimulate the scalp, promote growth and retention in hair. The most beautiful thing about it is that it's completely natural. So in the process of trying to figure out how to regrow my own hair, I did research on the different oils that are best for growth. And I formulated an oil that was able to be the catalyst in growing my hair, but also safe enough to use on my daughter. And I didn't have to worry about the different ingredients that were in them. I knew how to read them, I knew how to pronounce them, and I knew exactly what I was using to support me in my journey. So I managed to grow my hair back using just my products, and it's been an amazing journey.
Y'all need to make sure y'all tune in, because I mean, the results are, it is what it is. And personally, I had made a little deal with her that I was like, I will cut my hair off and regrow it with your product if you start pushing your business. I was like, I need you to start promoting this brand, because I think it's so important. And that's like one of the things that's real big for us, even at Bedroom Kandi. Like, we're very big on telling our consultants, make sure you know your why. Make sure you understand your why story, because if you don't understand why you're doing anything, you can't really be purposeful and intentional in it. But also because the story changes depending on what's going on with you at different points in your life. So you always got to go back to that purpose, to that story, and ask yourself, why am I doing the things that I'm doing? Because when you don't know, confused minds do nothing, right? Confused minds will always do nothing. So with that being the case, I felt like you had this like beautiful why story. You have this beautiful purpose attached to it. And then you had this experience, and then you had this success with using something you created, and it's working well for both you and your daughter. So it's like, put in a bottle, make sure it's sold, put a label on it, set it up. And so I was really happy to see you doing that. Even in gifting at my own women's retreat, all of the attendees there, they all became addicted, right, to your product. So I guess where I want to shift there, right, is that you were able to work on one challenge that cancer treatment can have and in the process of that. But there are so many things that touch on pleasure as it relates to breast cancer that I feel like a lot of people don't understand. And as a younger woman, right, at the time, and still right now, right, the last thing you want to feel like is being sick and going through this treatment is about to attack a key area of life. Okay. Which is our pleasure. Okay. All right. So there's a couple of things that I want to ask you, and then I have something I want to gift you also. But can you tell me what your relationship with your body was like after you realized like going through treatment was a thing, and what types of effects it was going to have?
Your body completely changes. I became a whole different person. Residual aches and pains, those still are here almost 5 years later. The breast area is no longer a source for arousal. It's really something that is extremely sacred to me. I don't want anyone touching them. I have scars that I don't want anyone seeing. So I'm very protective of them. So partners have to find an alternate route in terms of it. On top of that, your sex drive completely changes. I want to say I can literally go without sex, and that just wasn't me back then. But I just have no craving for it for the most part. It's something you really got to work at. Right, and you know, I'm sure people who have lasting medications probably feel it even worse than I do. I don't have any lasting medications that I have to take, and I still am there. Like here I am almost 5 years later, and I'm just like, sex, whatever. But it is you're a whole new person. So to only be in my early 30s and feeling like someone who's gone through a whole life, it's really something to struggle with. It's a big struggle. So
that to me, it's so crazy, because I feel like there are so many things, trauma-wise, health-wise, that we as women experience that directly attacks that one area. Because I can recall, I can't recall a single thing that I went through that would err on that side that didn't also impact that area. And you're right, like being at a certain point in your life where you're like, I'm supposed to be in my, like we're supposed to be swinging off trees into it. Yeah. And to think to yourself, like, nah, I lack desire. Right. I want to take time to talk with our viewers a little bit and also educate, right? Because I mean, what good am I if I'm not sitting here as a sexologist offering you some pathways or some solutions? So a lot of the things that I tucked in your gift bag were really thoughtful of all of that. And there are a couple of things that I want to share. If anybody may be undergoing treatment presently, there are things that you have to consider. And then there's different considerations post. But there are some people don't realize that if you have, like, for example, a low platelet, right, you are more susceptible to bleeding during sexual intercourse while you're undergoing treatment for cancer, which is literally something you don't want to deal with. But on top of that, some people don't, like, your body's white blood cell counts are like elevated significantly because your body's trying to fight. Your body's trying to fight. So that also puts you at an increased risk for infections from certain things. You have to be even more careful about what you're introducing to your body, let alone, right, parts of your body that things go inside. So it's not just a matter of desire. It's literally your health. It could be threatening for some people to engage sexually. And I have had a couple of clients who I've, worked with who had this exact challenge. And I had to go about it through unconventional routes to pleasure, which was not always easy for them, but also for their partners, because their partners are like, they supposed to be getting that out of me, right? But what a lot of them have found to be successful is engaging in more external stimulations and play. Is their body was more receptive to than that. And then there's a lot of discomfort and pain sometimes in sex positions, right? And so I want people to be aware that those aren't, penetrative things and things that are not the only ways that you can access it. And there are also other zones on the body outside of just your genital area, erogenous zones that you can stimulate. Because you said something later, honestly, was big when you talked about, first of all, now this is an area that's kind of like a no access zone, right? I got to imagine it's going to require a huge amount of trust and safety for you to even be open to letting a person access you there. And then you spoke about the visual, right? Like, I also want to feel like I could stand before you or stand before myself without feeling these things. So I went through that with weight, right? And one of the things that I did that helped me become, because if anybody knows me, y'all know my body be outside. And when I say that, let me be clear. I will show some, right? But I didn't always feel that way. I was really not that comfortable. Lingerie was the thing that got me to be comfortable again, because I don't know if it's just me, but ladies in the comments, y'all check in and let me know. I always had like these outfits that was like house outfits, but they're not like, you look like a slave house outfits. They're like, got a little bit of cleavage with the t-shirt, but it's also like loose in my stomach area, or like the shorts that look like, oh, I'm just chilling, but they got a little peekaboo or whatever. And I would keep stuff like that. But whenever I would engage in sex, I would not take off certain things, at least in the light. So then I started playing with lingerie because it would at least cover or mask my visual from seeing the parts that I didn't feel good about, but it's still like most of them will allow access to the parts of the body you still, want people to get to. So I'm sharing that because it could be something, and it got me into my affliction with dressing up with different things and getting like different personalities out of what I'm putting on. I got to send you another gift because I ain't think about that. So now we got to add to her bag later. Okay. We got to send her a body stocking or something. But, aside from that, I want to talk about both the reintroduction of, if you've been not having sex for a long time, That shit hurt.
I think I went like, so right after I finished chemo, we went into 2020 and COVID hit.
Exactly.
So
you had your surgery.
Right. I had both of my surgeries. I had a double mastectomy right before COVID hit and then reconstruction during COVID. So I was isolated for all of 2020 because my immune system was still compromised. So I didn't let anyone go near me. So at least for a year post-treatment, post-surgery, there was nothing touching. So the reintroduction was really tough. It was it's really tough psychologically because now you feel like you're starting over. Like now you feel like, oh wow, am I a virgin again? You know, physically it feels like that, but also there's this trust factor. Now you want your sex to be meaningful. Not to say that I was just engaging in reckless, meaningless sex.
But you wanted that person, you really want to be caring for that body.
I have to really care for you and want something with you and for you to be able to touch me.
And it's hard enough to find that.
Oh, the dating pool sucks.
It's like a septic tank out there for a lot of people. So, so that's hard because like you're trying to establish meaningful connection and all of the stuff that come along with that before you even want to allow a person access. But in the meantime, the clock is still ticking. It's not really slowing down. So there is something I wanted to bring. I actually have two of them out, but I'm going to pull this out because I do want people to know like I hate to have these conversations or watch these conversations and people don't leave with answers or solutions or at least an idea of where they could get started. And one of the things we have, which let me give you a bag.
Thank you.
It got a little weight to it. We put a little bit of stuff in there. But one of the items that's in there is this dilator set. Right. And one thing that we're really big on with our company is not just inclusivity, but reflections of certain communities and causes. We don't necessarily always have to say it, but we want you to be able to look at a product and know what it signifies. So I have two of them out here and I'm opening this way. The other two, don't you dare. Other two just slip right back in there. This is what you use to travel with it and store it. But if you look at the set, you'll notice that the top part of the ring features the breast cancer awareness ribbon at the top. So this way, you know that this was a product that was designed specifically with individuals who are going through this in mind, right? Or trying to get past what they went through. But all right, I'll put the big boy back. Hold on. It's basically a system. You know, I was just drawn to this one, right? Like, but really, it's a system designed to help reintroduce the body. It's not just something that can be used for breast cancer if you have vaginismus, which is something that involuntary contractions of the pelvic floor, if you had a hysterectomy, different things that, you know, tilted uterus, certain sex could be painful. So if you look, it starts with a super, super small size. And the goal is that with the use of a water-based lube, you just take each one and you practice, you know, with the insertion in and out. They're really bendy, so they'll flow. But the point is you start with the level that feels like that's where you are, and you want to stay with that for a little while. And then as you slowly working yourself up. So basically it's like you're reintroducing your body, but you're inching it up to be able to take more, right, to get more comfortable. Now, we know there are partners that are a little larger, but there's some good size. You know, put it next to my head, you get a good comparison. You know, but you know, the point is that if you work your way up to this, you're really just training your body and your pelvic floor to be reaccustomed to it. But I also tell people, if you're ever interested in playing around in the back door, okay, just gonna put that back because y'all know what I'm saying. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, drop a comment and let me know. But yeah, so this is one of the things that I wanted to gift you, just because I know, one, obviously you are involved now, but the bottom line is you still on your own time. I always tell people when you're using a dilator system, do different angles, different positions, put your body up this way, that way, because you know how it feels different based on what, and it could be quite pleasurable as well. So that's one of the things. But before I go over here, you got a lot of stuff in your bag, and I would love if you would open it up and I can tell you about what you're seeing as you're pulling them out.
Okay, so
that's the dilator set. Yes. Yeah, we're gonna We're gonna put a little staple in there. That is our Candy Kisses lipstick vibe. And the reason why I pick Candy Kisses, obviously it's external, it's discreet. I know you got a baby girl at home, and if she's about this much as nosy as mine, then you want to make sure that if she does stumble on something, it's like, you know, but that could fit in your makeup bag easily, and it is rechargeable and fully waterproof. But that could be a good partner play item, and it's not intimidating. A lot of times when you are, you know, bringing toys, it can't look like something that may make them be like. So that's one of the things that I got you. Also, it has a good range in vibration.
7 patterns.
7 settings. So you could play around with that and you can get familiar with it. Okay. But we didn't just send you off one way. We got more up in there. Okay. This one is Get in Touch. Very intentional in the words. Get in touch, right? Because it's designed to be a finger attachment that you can use to get in touch with your body. And if you notice the point of it, right, you might not yet be comfortable with your partner touching you there. But with this attached, you might feel comfortable stimulating it. It is a vibration to it. And it has 20, I think, how many settings? 20 settings. Yeah. So 20 different touches up in there. So with that one, that allows you, I always say to anybody, use a little bit of lube because it just makes stuff feel more like a mouth against your body. But you can use that to touch pretty much anywhere, right? Not just there, yourself here, or your partner can attach it. And they can touch wherever you feel comfortable. And it's kind of like a good like exploration vibe. But also, if you look at the design, you see it got a little curve. Mm-hmm. So I will say that like under the balls, got a little something you can do with that. So Get in Touch is I call it the finger vibe. But I thought that would be something really good. It's one of the products I always recommend to my people who are like not just beginners at toys, but because really I be getting in touch. So, and I'm not a beginner. But what I like about it is that it allows you to experience physical touch in a way that doesn't involve hands or directly in contact with the body, which psychologically, right, your body will not process the same. Right. So like the feeling of a hand will make you sometimes this, but like a vibration is tend to be soothing. It tends to be more relaxing, and you could kind of detach it. So my recommendation would be when you feel like that's something you want to venture into and you want your partner to potentially maybe start there. And if you're comfortable with that layer in between, right, then it might make you feel, better. So that's one thing that's in there. But we don't just do pleasure, okay? Because there's some products I have up here, but I'm very big on care. So I'm sure you're very aware of the positive effects of CBD that is out there. Right. Those are 2 CBD massage candles. Right. They smell like lavender. So it's really decompressing. Relaxing. Yeah. And obviously couples friendly because you can burn it and the oil from the candle will turn, as it melts, it will turn into oil. I could pour this You can pour it directly on. Yeah. This is that one is probably, I love the massage candles because they don't heat higher than your body temperature. Okay. So it can't burn. And you'll see that no matter what, it maintains that temperature. But whatever you don't use, it just re-solidifies until you burn it again. All right now, baby. So you better get them heads ready to work. I was just telling him about some candle. What? So yeah, y'all can use it on each other, but the CBD in it is designed to help with pain and discomfort and relaxation. So it's also good for like just an anxiety type of thing. I have burned those before coming out of the bathtub on my own and just use it because the CBD and the lavender lends to that whole. Exactly. So that's my, that's my thing right there. You also, y'all see on the Business Pleasure, we've been giving out some good stuff. So what you're seeing in there, I have right here to make it easy. So you don't have to open your new jar, but we just actually launched a new skincare collection. Okay. And it's under our candy coated side of the brand, which is more our kid-friendly side, where we feel like have more of the cosmetics and the body products. And like when you go over there, you don't see branding that's sex positive stuff. But this one right here is the Age Renewal Face Scrub. It has a turmeric in it as well. All natural ingredient. Okay. And just so you guys know, this product was developed by one of our consultants. Our entire skincare collection and a few of our soap bars, And our feminine wash was designed, she's a chemist. And so she had been with the company for a long time, and she similar to you, her husband had skin conditions. So she started making his products. Yeah. So she makes our pure charcoal activated soap bar. She makes our balance soap bar and our fresh. So we're really big on entrepreneurship, as you can see, because we saw she had this great product and then ended up forming a relationship where now all of our consultants nationwide sell her brand.
That's amazing.
So big shout out to Angela Solomon, our creator. Now this right here, I might have on makeup right now. I'm gonna have to drop a video so y'all can see. Be having my skin.
Okay now.
First of all, the first time I used the skincare products on my boyfriend, I don't like how his attitude shifted. He was walking around going, like checking himself too much and really But this one you can use, I would say, she shared that this is something you want to use like every other day, not every single day, because the turmeric and all that stuff is, but yeah, it'll be good for keeping your tone even. You can smell it though. Hold on.
Yes, please.
You can see my finger was in that jar. You know this is testimony. I don't be lying. I really
smells amazing.
Really, really using this stuff. Right?
It smells amazing.
That is that. And it's like a just so you guys know, it's like a very refined scrub. So it's cane sugar that she uses in it, which really means that as you're massaging it in, it starts to exfoliate and melt away. So you don't end up like it melts as so I usually rub it until I don't feel the grains anymore, and then rinse it in. But look, I'm just touching the jar, but look at my hand.
It's on my hand.
It's very like the moisture and all that stuff. I don't know if y'all can see that, but like that baby, you can see the light. Mm-hmm. That's the moisture in that product, but it won't feel greasy. And that's what I like. This one is the face wash, the foaming face cleanser. And they're all age renewal products. So you have that in there also. And these are my two favorites of the new collection. I ain't gonna lie. These two little jars right here. So this one right here is the sea moss serum. Right. And everybody, if you haven't researched sea moss and the positive benefits of that, you really need to. It's good for ingestion, but also topically on your skin. This serum so the order that you would want to go and do this in, hit your wash, hit your scrub, rinse. While your face is still wet, don't dry it. That's when you would put the serum, because the sea moss and everything in serum absorbs to your skin better while it's drying with the moisture. And then the last one is this face and neck oil. When I tell y'all, it's in my bag right now. Like I walk with this oil. I want you to open it, and just because I know you into these ingredients and stuff. So I want you to play it.
I want to smell it.
So it's simple.
Amazing.
And the thing I like the most about the oil is that most of the ones that you see out there for like your face, it kind of is greasy. But it gives the good shine, if that makes sense, but it's not greasy.
No, it's very gentle.
So it will feel very lightweight on your skin. So you have that in there, and I feel like I placed some other couple little trinkets in there. I feel like I'm losing my mind. It's a very important product that I happen to be wearing.
Yes.
Which is our lipstick. So I wasn't gonna just sit it up here and have you staring at it. You have a BK. This is called our BK Blessing lipstick, right? And it comes in 2 colors. And this one, there's a Be a Blessing one, but if you roll it up, it is pink. Obviously, intentional again, breast cancer awareness. And if you look at the tubing on this one, you see the symbol also on it. So this is another one. And actually during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Bedroom Kandi is very big on purpose-driven things. So we always look to give back, and we donate percentages of product sales that are branded in this area back to organizations who do a lot of work in it. So you have your BK Blessing lipstick up in there. And then I think I threw some lube in.
We need that.
What you got in there?
Let's see.
Some other stuff up in there.
No. I think that's it.
Okay, so we're gonna make sure we get you. I'm digging my bag, so I always got an extra. But yeah, so I'll be saying stuff and then I'll be able to remember. But yes, and obviously the bag is reusable. You can also wear use the Pleasure Activism bag. So those are all things that are designed to take care of you from the pleasure side, but also the wellness and the care side. And I thought that you would appreciate that. Shout out to Rita, who is our gift giving person. We talked on the phone. I was like, I feel like this, and this, and this, and that. And we both went in there and mixed our minds, and we was able to come up with some stuff we really thought were perfect for you.
This is incredible.
I hope you really
I am
enjoy.
so excited to try them.
Please do. And the good thing about the face stuff is safe enough for your child. We use all vegan. It's all vegan product, all natural ingredients. And one of the policies at Bedroom Kandi when it comes to like our products with our skin and things like that is if it doesn't need to be in the product, it won't be in the product. Like, bottom line. I love it. That's the thing.
She be in everything.
And that's exactly what you end up. But then, you know what? I feel like it's a good thing. And that kind of goes where I wanted to go, because this part of the conversation, we spent a little bit of time with the education around it. But I feel like another really significant part of your story, which I'm happy because I feel like I've seen you and your daughter in, like you said, you crossed the stage with her. You guys will see a clip. We're going to drop it in where Jamela got the opportunity to go on Jennifer Hudson Show. Also, and talk about her story. What was that, 3 years mark post?
Yes.
Was it?
I was celebrating 3 years.
Yeah. So, first of all, that was dope. But I love that she's a part of every part of the story. Like, every part. and I don't think that folks realize that even though when you're going through this stuff, there's the other part of like, how do you communicate about this stuff with your kids? Even like in my realm, sex and all those type of things. I got 2 growing boys who... You know, one of them very much so knows he has a penis, and he is very in tune with said penis. Mm-hmm. And even being on the autism spectrum, it did not stop him from going through certain things with his body. The same thing, but when I was pregnant, for example, it was like my body went through everything. Mm-hmm. And I still had to find a way to try to get my child to understand mommy's body is going through some stuff right now, right? You said Jada was 4.
Yes.
I gotta imagine coming home from treatment, her 4-year-old energy was still
on 10.
Yeah. On 10. One of the last things I wanted to ask you before we went into the segment Money Making Monday is, how did you find the courage, the strength to talk to your daughter about it, and what do you think it's done for your relationship today?
It was actually it took a really long time for me to tell her about it. In terms of like even the name of my illness. It happened during COVID. She thought I just had COVID. But it took me a really long time because for most people, when you hear the word cancer, your automatic thought is death.
Death, yeah.
So I had to reprogram my mind first and the people around me before I could get comfortable. For the most part, it sent me straight into survival mode. And so it changed the trajectory of how I parented. It changed our relationship. Because she was 4 and I didn't know what was going on for me, I was always a very principle centered with her. Mm-hmm. But now for me, it became, now I'm in survival mode and I need you to know certain things. So she learned how to be very independent, very young. I need you to know certain things. The first being, and if you ever ask her, number 1 job is to take care of your body. And that looks different depending on the day. How you're cleaning yourself, how you're dressing, how you're wearing your glasses, whatever it is that goes for your body, you have to make sure you take care of your body because you only get one. You don't get a new one. You can't switch it out, like even with your teeth. All of that plays in. So I'm very big with her on taking care of her body. Mm-hmm. And now that she's older, I've had the conversation with her about what my illness was and how the first thing I had to do was get genetically tested because I didn't know if she was at risk for it. So there was a lot of language that I still don't know to this day. Like it was complete foreign area for me. So I'm still having these conversations, and as she's getting older, she's asking more intricate questions. Now she's asking like about the shape of my breasts and how they move and all of these different things. And it's always at like 6 o'clock in the morning. But I don't
know how they wake up on 1,000. Like, I swear to you, funny thing about that, I woke up the other day and I was like, oh, Katie, it's time to go to school. You got 17 minutes before the bus comes here. And he was like, 17 minutes? And I was like, how? It's 6:30. So you're right about that. They wake up on one. So now she's older. You feel like she has a greater awareness
absolutely
of it. And so one thing you said that I really wanted to just like echo, it was about age appropriation, because at 4, there's certain conversations she wasn't ready for. And I think that kind of mimics like the same thing in mine. It's like when you start to realize that they're at an age where they can understand, then you start to give them more information. But like kids are so resilient, but at the same time, it's like, you can't be jumping on my back. You can't be.
I wouldn't even try to pick her up now. Like, there's just my body. I'm in my 30s, but my body literally feels much older. So there are so many different things that I can't do. I was out here jumping double dutch with her this summer and messed both knees up. And I'm just like, all right, Jamela, you have to take it easy. But I have been able to, it was a perfect bridge to introducing her to how she's supposed to care for her body, and the importance of those checkups and advocating for yourself and asking the questions that no one wants to ask. You know, we grow up being taught to just listen to what the doctor said. But if I just would have left it there,
you wouldn't have ever went further to check.
Who know where I would be right now. So just teaching her how to advocate for herself and like explore, you know, she's starting to develop, and it's driving her absolutely insane. And so just teaching her how to be,
troubles and all that.
And I'm so not ready for it. But you know, going through what I went through helped me become a better mom in a lot of ways. There's like, our relationship it's so transparent. She's almost like my little sister. I'm the youngest, so now she's just like, there's nothing off limits in terms of preparing her for this world. And so it's just amazing.
You know what's so crazy is that advocacy work goes so far in so many ways, right? You have to be an activist for yourself.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, for children, I'm finding in today's climate, we're raising kids that have to be capable of that way sooner. Advocacy for their rights. We're at a point in our in time where rights are like super up in the air. So I could definitely understand how even that could be confusing. It's a presidential election. You know, a lot of things for the first time happening. So I love that you said that. And I second that notion, because I always tell people, like, my kids really are the reason why I have different perspectives or whatever the case is. Like, until I had an autistic child, I never had to look at what the world might look like from that lens. So once you start to think like, dang, I was taught this was what it was supposed to be. Like you said, listen to your doctors. Honestly, my doctor was the person I lied to the most when I was a teenager. They first asking me at a certain point, you know, how many people you having sex with right now, and I'm a woman in my early 20s, and I'm like, I kind of, you know, I'm just
one.
Serious,
just one
and a half, like, you know, but because at that point you got to realize that, and I think it's important for anybody who's listening who might be in the medical field, because let's keep it real, right? You're a young Black woman who walked into a doctor's office with a concern, and you said that you felt like the initial response was to dismiss it.
Right.
I know I'm one of those people. I know a lot of people who have had a similar experience in the medical practice, where they felt like, I'm expressing my concern. I even had a male nurse once tell me that, you know, he was Black, but he was like, you know, you Black women is a little extra with it, right? So like downplaying my pain because he felt like it was natural to be dramatic.
Right.
So it's so important for you guys that's listening, educate yourself, but also make sure that you're educating your children and the people around you on how to be a better advocate for themselves, because it is quite literally those people's jobs, right, to check into things when you express a concern, to not ignore your pain when you tell them it exists, and to feel empowered and not discouraged when you do, and somebody's like, I don't know, maybe it's just some other stuff,
right?
Because that one thing could have changed whether you were sitting here today or not.
Absolutely. And
that is really what I want people to resonate with. But I am also the kind of person that says we are not taking you deep dark into the hole and not bringing y'all out on a positive stance. So the last thing that I want to say before we close, as we talk about a little bit of the Money Making Monday side, because on this podcast, we like to help people understand that there is a business in pleasure. There is a business in wellness. There is a business in self-care, and all of these industries really overlap.
Absolutely.
So one, I want you to tell folks how they can follow your business. So if some people is standing here envying your hair this whole episode, they know exactly how to get like you. And then I'll share one more thing for our viewers. Tell them where they can find Jhems By Jayda.
You can follow me on Instagram. It's Jhem, Jhem _ by by_J.
It's that simple, y'all. Y'all got to get that oil. I'm going to tell y'all, and also for the girls who might, throw a track or two in or get the hair braided like me, you know how we get that itchy scalp? It feels like a peppermint patty on your scalp. And it is so refreshing when you put that oil on. So I do want to say it isn't just the hair growth side of it. I stopped myself from doing too much of that, just using that oil on my scalp. So check her out. And then you also, I know that the Flourish oil is one, but that's not the only product you have. And if you could tell them about that also, so that they can check that out as well.
So there's also the Better Me Potion, which is designed for moisturizing. It is shea butter based, all natural as well. And it could be used both on body and hair. So when I blew out my hair this morning, I put the oil on my scalp, and then I moisturized the hair itself using the Better Me Potion.
Got you. So I might have to get another jar of that because my joint be dry a little bit. Okay. But seriously, guys, make sure you guys check out Jamela and her powerful stories. Support her as she is growing and her womanhood and her business and all those types of things. And also, I also want to extend this as an open invitation to help you guys, as always, understand that when you join our family at Bedroom Kandi, this is what we're about. Our mission is to empower, educate, and earn. And that's something that we like to do here in this platform. But that is literally what our consultants are doing every single time that they walk out the door to do what they're doing. They're looking to empower people in a safe place. We might, we put a little bit of the fun in funds. We do. Okay. But it's important that people feel like they have fun, safe environments to learn about these things. And that's what we're all about. So if anything about this conversation empowered you to want to do, to start your own business or brand, but you don't want to get started, or maybe you ain't like where you could do the research and learn about all the ingredients and you just want something that's set up for this, go ahead and head over to our website, bedroomkandi.com/join. Check it out. It might be the place for you to kind of get it started where you can begin your exploration into your pleasure and wellness. I want to thank you, ladies, for coming and chilling with me today. This was really like super impactful conversation. And even being your friend, I learned a lot today. And we didn't cry.
We made it.
Period. And on that note, before we do, catch you guys again next week.